Howdy, friends. This is Adam Ganser stopping by just to thank you so much for listening to us and all of our precious projects on the Small Beans Patreon. And if you have a couple extra bucks and haven't signed up for our $5 tier, I wanted to let you know there is some of the best entertainment anywhere on the internet just waiting for your listening pleasure. This includes episodes of I'll Show You Mine If You Show Me Yours, Spiel Boys, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and coming soon some very secret but very awesome projects we can't wait to show you. If you got the money and you feel like it, we'd sure love to have it. And thanks so much for listening to Small Beans.
Lights, camera, action!
We're shooting threes, just SMB. We're gonna watch and review film trilogies. It's all for laughs, so just sit back. We're gonna drop Peladimes on this podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. New year, new me. This is Shooting Threes, a basketball podcast. I am Sarah Griffith, joined here by Bridgett Greenberg. Bridgett, you were going to walk me through the drama with Jimmy Butler and the Heat. Why don't we go ahead and get started with that?
Okay.
I think that's what everybody wants us to talk about.
That's what we came
and they
here
want to
for.
hear.
And
Yeah.
they want to hear. A basketball, I'll correct the record here. I'm Bridgett Greenberg, and this is a basketball podcast about movies.
Okay.
So, Jimmy Butler is a complicated figure.
He's great in The Brutalist.
He's excellent in The Brutalist.
Really
I would say,
good.
And his story is Oscar worthy.
Okay.
A real,
Actually, you want to talk about movies and basketball? We could talk about Kobe.
Cubby?
Kobe.
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 Or a cubby little bear
Or Cubby Little Bear. And that's how.
called Paddington.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we got there.
That is, that's how we do it in show business, baby.
I didn't even see that coming. Look, we've taken a break, and she's
Smarter.
back. She's smarter. She's better. She's quicker. She's faster. She's been trading.
I've been doing a lot more improv, so I'm a little bit better on that off the cuff. Silly, irreverent humor.
But I don't know if you've noticed we've forgotten how to podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean,
We'll get back into it.
yeah, we're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now.
And we're going to be doing it at least 2 more times because Paddington is now officially a trilogy. Really exciting. Yes, Paddington, Peru, at the time of recording is coming out. It's coming out in February, so you should probably be able to get to that episode soonish. So everybody, you have to catch up immediately because the Paddington trilogy is super hot right now, and it's what we need.
It is what we need. We obviously have taken a long break, Sarah and I. It's been tough out there, everybody. And we wanted to get back into podcasting. We wanted to do this. We've missed you all. And we were like, what is a movie people really need right now? We can go into deep cinema. We can do something like the Colors trilogy. We can do an action movie.
Yawn.
But what we have decided in these tough, trying times is we need a story about a little bear who's just wants everyone to be kind.
And these movies are genuinely, and I've been beating this drum for a long time,
You have.
genuinely excellent movies.
What is you have seen 1 and 2, obviously.
Yes, I also
3 is out. You flew to the UK to see.
I went to Peru.
You went to
specifically.
Peru, darkest Peru.
No, I do want to know. Okay, I'll do my background on Paddington, and then I want to know your background on
Yes.
Paddington. Because Paddington also exists prior to these films, obviously, as I think most famously a stuffed animal, but
Yeah.
of course, originally a bear.
Originally a bear.
I know Paddington is much bigger in the UK than it is in America.
Yeah.
I
think there are children's books.
Yes. Well, I was going to say our British bear of choice is Winnie the Pooh. But I
Sure.
think that's because Disney got a hold of Winnie the Pooh. And so
Yeah.
that's really deep in American culture. Paddington, though, like I don't remember necessarily like reading the books growing up, but like
No.
I knew the little guy. Like I was like, yeah, that's Paddington.
When
bear.
the movie came out, I was like, yeah, of course, Paddington. I knew, like, there was some
Yeah.
familiarity there. It had seeped into my purview.
Yes. And
I don't know how, but I
actually-
would recognize. I
no,
knew
he's
him.
genuinely like a pop culture figure.
Yeah. No, he's
especially
famous.
a literary figure, no question.
No,
but
but-
like also the stuffed bear, I think is at every souvenir store in the world.
At this point, certainly, but
Yeah. Actually, something I learned in the book illustration, the original, he's just wearing the little coat and red hat.
mhm.
And then when they made him into a toy, they put little red wellies,
Oh,
little rain boots
oh,
on
the
him so he
rain
could
boots.
stand up on his own.
I wonder if that's coming.
So maybe we'll see. It'll be like a Marvel movie. Like
he
he
puts
gets
on
the boots in a
we
special
all
way, right?
Cheer. Yeah.
But these movies, though, I first discovered Paddington in 2017 when the second movie came out, and it was at the time, and I think still to this day, like the highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It had like 300 something reviews, and the score was still 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I want to see what the fuss is about. Oh my God. And so I saw Paddington like at home, and then I saw Paddington 2 in theaters, and I remember seeing it weekday matinee, and there was a bunch of like families and kids in the audience, and I was like, right. I forgot. I got so caught up in the like letterboxed of it all that I forgot that this is a movie for families, but it's delightful. It's adorable. They are very funny movies, genuinely.
Yeah.
Great performances. Paul King, emphasis on King, is a king. And then you have like David Heyman is an exec producer on this. It's like, yeah, I guess if you want to turn like a beloved British children's book into a banger motion picture, like you call it David Heyman.
You get the heavy hitters out.
Yeah.
And they're so Paddington was obviously familiar to me when he hit the scene hard in 2014.
2014 release.
2014. Didn't see that movie. Paddington 2 comes out, and I heard great things. It was delightful, but I was a adult at the time and was like, all right, I bet this is a cute children's movie, and if it's on, maybe I'll catch some of it and see. But
sure,
never quite happened. Paddington 2 hits the scene, blows up. Everyone knows Paddington. He's the hottest name in town. Everyone's trying to get a meeting. Just impossible to catch him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see this movie, missed it, but one day. So this is my preview to this. Previously to this, my only experience with Paddington is I was on a flight from like Miami to LA, headphones dead, book not being read, but the seat in the middle, I was in the window, and in the middle, in front of me, someone was watching Paddington 2.
You were siphoning off,
and secondhand Paddington 2'd.
Oh.
And without sound, MOS, watched Paddington 2 and was absolutely delighted.
Oh my God, that's a crazy way to watch.
And since then, it's been on my list of things to watch. And then obviously the movie with Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal came out.
Yes.
That I saw where they fangirl over Paddington 2. And I was like, man, this movie is on my, I need to see it.
It is genuinely recognized, I think, a lot of cinephiles as like, this is sincerely
good.
A wonderful motion picture.
So my understanding was always like, Paddington, OG, 2014 Paddington, very good children's movie.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is Paddington 2, just excellent movie.
Full stop. It is the Empire Strikes Back of family movies, I think.
Full stop. And Paddington in Peru hasn't come out in the US yet, but in the UK, Paddington Fever once again has swept the nation.
Yeah, but it's a different director this time, so I am curious.
I am curious.
And also, which we'll get into this, politically, I'm kind of curious to see.
Yeah.
We could just dive into the movie.
We could dive into this movie because that was obviously big in my mind. What the world needs right now is to watch these Paddington movies.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, what a poignant tale. It
is an immigrant story.
It is an immigrant story. I feel like in this movie they didn't, because it's a children's movie from 2014. We're pre-Trump era.
Yes.
They don't, there are hints of it, and they certainly harken back to tougher times in World War II.
Definitely. The book, A Bear Called Paddington, by the way, premiered 1958.
Okay.
So, like, quite literally,
right?
Yes, this is a story. It is a metaphor of
in the UK,
European Jewish children, refugees, even down to like the tag around the neck. Like, that's based in
that. Whoo, killed me.
Yeah, no. The first like 15 minutes of this movie is
I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It is. It made me curious going forward in this series if they dig into that a little bit more, because and you're gonna have to stop me, like press your button on my shock collar
Sure.
when I get too in the weeds of the logic of Paddington.
No, because I will go ahead and let you know, when you watch Paddington 2 with sound, you will actually maybe even be delighted like how more specific they get.
Okay.
It becomes a little bit more specifically like Paddington is not from here.
Yeah.
And like, what are those implications?
Okay, good. Okay, because it felt like, there's something really interesting in here and they hint at it and they touch on it, but it's never fully realized.
Sure, it's put in a way that this is obviously a product of the Obama administration. This is 2014.
Yeah.
And then Brexit happened in 2016, Paddington 2 coming out in 2017. And I do think Brexit plays a role in the development of Paddington 2.
Yeah, I mean, politics enters the Paddington world in a big way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we start off on this little cute adventure film that we've seen, this very 1930s National Geographic.
It is. I kind of forgot, like, visually, this is also like such a fun movie to watch.
Visually, this movie,
it's kind of like an animated movie in all the liberties it takes.
It's funny because I keep going between like sometimes it's colored like Sin City, and sometimes it's a Wes Anderson movie.
Yes,
and Paddington, I guess, is somehow in the Venn diagram of Sin City and and Wes Anderson.
Exactly.
Definitely big cues from Wes Anderson, which I love because his movies are obviously so like whimsical and inspired by children's books to take that. I guess I'm going to say as an homage because it feels very overt sometimes.
Yeah.
Is a smart move, and they've built quite a nice world here. But yeah, I love all the styles it goes through from the like very 1930s. We're in the jungle exploring.
Yeah. This is also like very proper British film.
Proper British film, and I also assume in 2 we find out what happens to Paddington's parents. Maybe.
Oh yeah. Well, his parents
I think
die of like just natural causes because he was raised by his
aunt and uncle, which his uncle's name
is based on the boxer
Pizzoli. The Mexican soup.
Nope. I'll pull it up on IMDb.
Because his aunt's name is Lucy.
Yes. Because it's based off the explorer's mother. And then the other name is based on a boxer that was popular in the 30s.
Okay.
Voiced by Michael Gambon.
Oh.
Imelda Staunton. This is also a proper British movie in that everyone in this movie is either in a franchise film or has an Oscar or
it's
both.
like, an esteemed British actor.
Yeah. Just being stupid.
From
Pastuzzo. Uncle Pastuzzo.
Uncle Pastuzzo.
That's Imelda Staunton and Michael Gambon.
Oh man,
as aunt and uncle. Again, they called David Heyman. He was like, "I've got.
Let me
go through my phone book.
Let me give a call to see who wants to play the sweet little bear."
Which you have to imagine, and this is also literally true of Nicole Kidman. But these British actors, I bet a ton of them were like, "Absolutely, I'll be in the Paddington movie."
Yeah, Nicole Kidman. Well, my thing with Nicole Kidman is I think someone calls her up for a role. She says, "Can I wear a wig?" They say yes. She goes, "I'm in."
Yes. Can do I have to do an accent that isn't my own?
And can I wear a wig?
Yes.
Yes. And we will get into Nicole Kidman in this movie.
Oh my God, so inspired.
I mean, she never
so inspired.
She has never in her life given a like phone it in performance. But she never once in her life. She truly loves acting.
No.
Is how I feel, and that's why she's in 18 movies a year.
Right.
And she loves getting as silly with it as possible.
Yeah, there's there's a good handful of actors that are leading actors, but I think desperately want to be character actors.
Yeah.
And I actually do think Nicole Kidman
is one of them.
Is like dying to like be a little bit silly.
Yeah.
So we get the backstory of Paddington, and then of course, heart-wrenchingly, Aunt Lucy sends him to London because the adventurer says you'll always have a home in London. You can always go there.
After their home was like burnt down.
An earthquake.
Earthquake,
which also kills Uncle Pastuzzo,
I was like, we can't skip over him looking for Uncle Pastuzzo and him finding his hat, which he was not to touch because that was Uncle Pastuzzo's prized possession.
Yeah,
was this hat he got from the explorer.
Why do they start so many family films with immediately?
It has to, and it kills.
I guess like for kids, like stakes have to be high, and like for a child, like the stakes are like as black and white as life and death. Always.
I remember there are 2 moments right in the beginning that as a child I remember watching the movie Secret Garden and getting so freaked out by her dreams of like losing her mom that I was like, I never finished that movie. I like cried and we were like, turn it off.
Yeah.
I will never see that again. And them searching for Uncle. A child searching for a parent figure
It's gonna do me
who's
every
dead.
time.
Who is not there,
Every time.
who they're not going to find, is heart-wrenching. And when
Yeah.
he finds that hat, oh, it got me. And so they have to move.
Yeah, I literally wrote down young person being sent out into the world prematurely on their own. Always does it for me. This is one of the reasons why Kiki's Delivery Service is actually one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it is a story of like, all right, you're 13, now you have to live on your own.
Yeah, growing up too fast.
Yeah.
And then so they pack up because their home is destroyed in an earthquake in darkest,
I do kind of like
darkest Peru.
I do like the gag a little bit that Aunt Lucy's living in like a bear retirement
I love that. That one, a twist that was heartbreaking, but two, when it came full circle at the end and you saw the retirement home for bears.
Yeah.
And there are a couple like gags in this movie that obviously they throw in for adults watching the movie that are very funny. And the other very funny one was the orphanage.
Yes. Really good. Orphanage, and then cuts back to institution for children whose parents have died mysteriously, like whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, Aunt Lucy, they sneak their way onto a container ship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Paddington, thank God, arrives in London.
Yeah.
Thank God. He could have been anywhere.
He really could have ended up. He could have been in a factory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making iPhones.
Yeah.
But no, they put him on this little boat and they hide him, and she gives him all the marmalade, and he has a sandwich in his hat. And she tells him she's not going with him because she's going to a retirement home for bears in darkest Peru.
Which apparently there is a real sanctuary in Peru for like elderly bears.
Oh my God, I need to go to there.
I know.
I must go to there. They're friends, right? Bears are friends?
Yeah. Quick diversion, did you see the story about like the 500-pound bear that was under the crawl space in the home in Altadena where the Eaton Canyon fires were? Poor guy. He was just like hanging out there, but apparently he was too big to trank.
Oh.
Like they didn't have enough like tranquilizers in the world to put down a 500-pound bear. So they got a big cage and they put a bunch of rotisserie chickens in there. And he went out to eat him, and then they caught him, and he's now back in the wild where he belongs. Thank goodness.
Bears are, it's a real shame that they will kill you.
Guys.
Yeah, they're just silly, goofy dudes.
Do you know that they've observed bears like sitting and just like looking at a vista, and they have reason to believe that bears enjoy the view.
Yeah, I mean,
they enjoy their time in nature, genuinely.
I saw a bear once in Mammoth, California, come up to a family having a picnic. The family freaks out and runs away. I was on a
bear was
hike,
like, hey, boo boo, I look like a...
No, and literally
that's my Yogi Bear impression.
That is what happened, because the family was like, oh shit, and they walk away, and the bear just sits down at the table and starts eating.
No, I think that bears are dangerous as propaganda. I think I could easily see a bear and I could go...
Why would they have those ears?
And the bear would come over and I would lay down and then I'd rub his belly.
Yeah. Oh, I want to give Paddington... No, the fact that no one rubs Paddington's belly, I think, is the most insane thing in this movie.
But they respect him. They respect his bodily autonomy.
I guess, but I think he would like it.
Yeah. So he's a little boy bear. He's walking around London. And I mean, the imagery, that's actually when I wrote down, like, when was the first Paddington book written? Because this is obviously about World War II.
Yeah,
this is obviously about London in World War II.
I guess, no, it takes place in modern day because the kids are wearing headphones and listening to music.
That was a choice to age up.
Yeah.
The time of the movie.
Well, yeah, because...
Which is why I'm saying, like, it's a little bit more political than people might give it credit for.
I think so. I mean, Aunt Lucy, when she sends Paddington off, and he is to find a home.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Take care of this bear.
Oh, take care of this bear. Oh, take care of him.
Yeah.
So he's sent to London, and she explains that, in the explorer's home country, there was a war.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids whose homes got ruined were sent off to London.
Mm-hmm.
In the hopes that a stranger would take them in and take care of them.
Yeah.
Which... modern times, insane thing to do, but and they did. So they still know how to treat a stranger in London. And
that's actually what I wrote down. So I think we can cut ahead to like he's looking for a home. We encounter the Brown family. Leaving the train.
The scene where he's in the train station and just like hello, and then
so
he's sitting at the end with the lost sign.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
some of the more, I mean, obviously it's a children's movie, so some of the more like in your face imagery is like eye rolly, but still so sweet. The lost and found thing is still, I was like, I did say he's found.
He is found. Yeah, no. So we see the Brown family. They are like a classic family from a book, and that like all four of them are like very distinctly unique and different and weird and kooky in their own ways. And I did write down Mr. Brown originally passes Paddington off as like, all right, panhandler, whatever, scam artist, like ignore him. He's a little baby bear.
He's a little baby bear. This is, and again, might be where you have to buzz my shock collar, but the world needs to decide if it is rare that if it is an anomaly that there is a talking bear.
He does call himself a rare bear.
He calls himself a rare bear, and
he's a rare bear,
and he is a rare bear. But they're like, they do address like, this is a talking bear.
Yeah.
But they're everyone else, and sometimes it's normal and sometimes it's not normal.
Yes, I think it really depends on what is the funniest possible solution.
But
like
he's walking around the train station being like, hello, and everyone's just like, move it, talking bear.
Right.
And then they're like, whoa, this is a talking bear.
Yes.
It is convenient, but whatever. He's a cutie.
Yeah,
so.
Sally Hawkins as the missus of the family takes a shining to the young man. And I did write down her line, they will not have forgotten how to treat a stranger.
They will not have forgotten how to treat a stranger.
And I was like, well, they did, actually. Shortly after this movie came out, Brexit. So they decide, okay, we're going to do our best to like try to find accommodations for this bear for the night. When that falls through, he's got to stay with the Browns.
Yeah.
The Brown household is so visually enjoyable.
Yes.
It
is like a dollhouse.
It is and
I mean, they have the dollhouse.
When they do that, that's so good. It's so good. So fucking good. The whole montage of like, this is their room, this is the background, this is what I've learned about this family.
Oh, and Paddington walking into that house, which like for all accounts is like supposed to be a modest London home in the middle of Portobello Street, which is like a very fancy street. I mean, that's a multi-million-dollar home. But,
easy. Yeah.
But they treat it like, just an everyday home. And the way he walks in and just like appreciates, I guess, inside.
Mm-hmm.
I love that shot where they linger on his foot as he's about to step inside. Like, this is a new world for him. He's never been inside.
I like when he goes upstairs and he doesn't know how to use the stairs, so he climbs on the banister like it's a tree because he's a bear.
He's a bear. He's a bear. He's still a bear.
He's a bear.
And
he's a little bear.
And he's a scamp.
He is.
He's a scamp.
The word hijinks comes to mind.
Yeah. That is the thing. We were talking, my boyfriend and I, as we were watching this movie together, like, okay, we understand this is a kid's movie. Every time he goes into a room by himself, we're just like, oh, what's gonna happen?
What's gonna happen?
And it is very long. Whatever happens is like it is a 20-minute scene. Not a lot really happens in this movie. It's just an escalating series of Three Stooges like hijinks. A Rube Goldberg of hijinks.
I will say I've been working with kids now for over a year, and I have learned that peak children's comedy is somebody doing something wrong.
Yes.
Nothing I say or do will be funnier than when I introduce myself as Coach Banana. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wait, is this how we do this? I'm like, no.
Yes.
That is the funniest thing that could happen for kids.
Yeah.
And of course, Paddington is, it's the Amelia Bedelia series.
He is.
It's a character that is doing something wrong, and it's like silly.
As a writer, that has to be
silly bear.
As a writer, that has to be so fun to think of, like, how can we escalate it? Okay, he's in the bathroom. He doesn't. I will say, in that toothbrush scene, I did not like that. I did not like that one bit.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, sometimes when we're watching a family movie, you're like, oh, the kids like this joke. Ugh.
Yeah, that was
That's
truly,
for them. That's not for me.
The toothbrush in the ears, whenever someone goes too deep in an ear with a Q-tip.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was clearly touching brain in there, I did not like one bit. And then when he pulls out that wax, and when I see that toothbrush go back in the mouth, no.
Not a fan.
Not a fan of that part.
He also, I will say the first time I saw this movie, I do remember actually kind of being a little bit stressed out. The water damage that Paddington causes in this opening scene is thousands of dollars.
I would like some city planner to run an experiment of the damage that Paddington causes, not just in that home, but throughout London.
Oh my God. He actually creates like irreversible damage
Yeah,
in that archive museum or whatever the fuck.
And like infrastructural damage.
He gets marmalade all on the paperwork. He got marmalade on there.
And what that bear did with a roll of tape is absurd.
Yeah, like spoilers, but like later in the movie when there's a fire and like that's the final straw for Mr. Brown, it's like, I actually would say the water damage is probably way, way worse.
Yeah, no,
than
that
any fire that comes up later. I would say water damage is maybe worse because at least when there's a fire, like it's just gone.
Yeah.
But water damage, it's still there and ruined.
And you know that man has fire insurance?
That is
very clear.
funny when he is on the phone with the insurance
for
adjuster
bear insurance.
immediately.
Which, like, honestly, my dad would do the same.
They do that gag a couple of times where it's like an adult is describing Paddington to somebody. It's like, he's like this, he's like this, he's like this, he's a bear. Yes, a bear. It does work for me both times.
Yeah. It's like, it does work because it's also a little satisfying that someone is addressing that this is a bear.
Yeah, it's about 3'6". He's a bear. Yes, a bear.
A bear. 3'5". I love when they're like, and can you be more specific?
Yeah. When he's gone missing, it's like, that's not allowed to go off.
He's wearing,
are you serious?
He's wearing hat. His boot is 3'5". He's wearing hat, a coat, 3'5", and a bear. You're going to have to be more specific.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
That was genuinely funny. I do want to talk about the kids' rooms. These kids are cool as shit.
I didn't look this up, but I have to assume Paul King is a father because across the board, I felt the kids were kids in this movie.
Yes.
They look young.
They look young.
They act like kids.
I love that Paddington thinks that the girl's affliction of embarrassment is dire. It's very sweet.
Yes.
But she has a really cool the joke of her learning Mandarin to become a business lady and then talking about tax
evasion
or like
it's really good.
That is a very good bit. And
that's
then
good. This is all in the like dollhouse sequence.
The dollhouse sequence, and then they go into Michael's room, and Michael and his dad. Michael? Why do I want to say Michael is the son's name?
It might be Michael. I will look.
The son's name. Anyway, the son and the father are clearly...
Oh, Jonathan.
Jonathan,
Michael.
You know, one of those boys' names.
You know, UK
John.
ass,
yeah.
You know, whatever.
But yeah, I do like, it's clear that the son is very adventurous. He wants to be an astronaut. The father is very protective, which again, ends up being a very sweet...
Prototypical
family
male figure in a children's book.
But his room is so cool. The stuff that he builds is really cool. And he's clearly like very adventurous, and he loves all the hijinks that Paddington's getting into. Everything that Paddington does, surfing down the stairs in the bathtub, is met with awesome.
Yeah.
Every time someone sees Paddington like flying by, that is another part where he causes infrastructural damage in the middle of the movie when they see him flying by in the school. And I was like, yeah, this is like a citywide problem. This bear's a nuisance.
Wait until Paddington 2. I mean, it starts to get Fast and Furious levels of like, okay, there do have to be real consequences for this. This is crazy. This is really going unchecked.
I think people are dying.
I don't know if you heard it or not, but there's a line in Paddington 2, a little spoiler, where they're like, and Paddington's
I
gone
did not hear anything.
And murdered the queen. She's allergic to oranges, and he fed her marmalade. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Wow.
It's funny though. You'll see.
And bears love marmalade. You might not know this. It's a fun fact, but bears do love marmalade.
They do. So they get to the next day, and Sally Hawkins is like, you know what? Dash what my husband has to say. And now she's like determined to like, you know,
find him a home because he's a cute little bear and she has a heart.
And he also says like, well, I was told explicitly by someone from London that I could stay with them essentially with this explorer. So they go to find this explorer, which is when I wrote down Moulin Rouge reference when Jim Broadbent entered the movie. I was like, yes. Here we go.
This is a British movie, and Jim Broadbent is here
naturally,
and he has to be here by law.
It's like Jim Broadbent, Imelda Staunton, Michael Gambon.
They have to be there.
Yeah,
if it's a British movie, the BBC rules dictate they have to be in it.
They have to be in it. By the way, in between all this, we are introduced to kind of like the HOA dude of the neighborhood, Mr. Curry. played by Peter Capaldi, who makes me laugh every time he's on
He
screen.
is very good.
So, like, even just looking at him, it's so funny.
The nosy neighbor Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
Great role for him, who ends up falling in love with our villain of the movie.
Slay.
And let's talk about the villain of this movie,
I
which
do
is Nicole
also
Kidman.
want to say, speaking of it being a proper British film, I know you're not a Whovian, but
Sure.
the fact that
I've
they
seen-
had a doctor
Yes.
in there and Peter, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And check. David Tennant was
And-
unavailable,
well,
so they had to go Capaldi.
We have to get a different doctor.
They could have gone Eccleston also for the role, but
Was it? Okay, never mind.
Peter Capaldi is very
yes,
funny.
It's very funny. I
and
thought-
is an Academy Award winner, and I think people forget that.
It's also funny hearing Ben Wishaw's voice in this, because
Okay, yes.
now that
Quick pivot to the Ben Whishaw casting of the movie. Very first thing I wrote down is, God, Ben Whishaw is so good in this role.
yeah,
He's so good in Paddington too. Did you see Women Talking?
yes,
I was like, great casting, because of course Ben Whishaw is the man I would feel the most safe with, because
Yeah.
he's Paddington.
yeah.
I literally learned today Colin Firth was supposed to be Paddington.
Okay, I thought there was something. he
So
was in the
much
mix.
so, it was like Chris Farley being Shrek. Like, Colin Firth was on set when
yeah.
they were making this movie, acting as Paddington. And then I guess when they were editing the movie, it was like a mutual agreement between like Colin Firth and Paul King that were like, Paddington sounds like an old British guy.
Yeah, they need a.
And they like mutually agreed, like, this is not working. And so they went with kind of a younger, more squirrely Ben Whishaw, who like hadn't even read the Paddington books, is also what I learned. And kind of like last
Really?
minute, like recorded all these lines for Paddington. They had to completely reanimate Paddington because they had to change the way his fucking mouth moves.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, it is a full like Chris Farley to Mike Myers Shrek casting change. And with all due respect to Colin Firth, yes.
Absolutely.
He's incredible as Paddington.
He's great at Paddington. It's a little jarring because the last two things I watched Ben Whishaw in were Black Doves, where he's a killer.
Okay.
Excellent
He
series.
could play a real creep, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna watch Black Dove.
Okay.
And then the other thing I watched him in was Passages, where
Mm.
he is in a very intense sex scene, and there's also a sex scene in Black Doves with him. So I've seen this man's butt in the last two things I've seen him in,
Interesting.
and now he's the voice of
And
this
now
cute
he's-
little
and now
innocent
he's Paddington Bear.
And
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like literally a few minutes. I was like, I gave like a Wikipedia
Yeah.
read or whatever, and I was shocked.
That
to
makes
learn
sense,
That.
and
I
also-
can't imagine anybody else in this role.
and also Colin Firth, good guy,
yeah,
good guy.
yeah. I mean, that's what it was reported. Although I doubt it's like I can't imagine Colin Firth be like, and those bloody fuckers.
Yeah,
That's how Colin Firth sounds, by the way.
that is a great Colin Firth
Thank
impression.
you.
She is a single man.
Yes.
Nope, that's not him.
Yeah, he's a single man. Colin Firth.
Oh, I thought that.
Not to be confused with Colin Farrell, which I do.
No, I thought I just got him confused with the dad in Call Me by Your Name.
Michael
Mhm.
Strahan.
Michael Strahan.
Michael Strahan.
Michael Strahan.
This is a sports podcast.
This is first and foremost a sports guy.
Yeah,
But yes,
no.
we were gonna talk about Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
This is-
Though I will want to say in the Jim Broadbent stand, love the scene with the train, Eleven's,
Yes.
and then the little flashback of he himself being a refugee
yes.
child,
Yes.
and so feeling compelled to
Ye-
help our young bear.
And is that remind me? Is that also the story with the woman who lives with them?
No,
She-
so Miss Bird, they don't. This is in the Paddington books. They don't really explain her backstory
Yeah.
per se, but she's like a distant relative
Okay, that's
of the family. I think she's supposed to be like a second aunt or something like that.
yeah.
But again, much like many British children's books, there's just like a nanny.
Right, there are just multiple things.
Just-
yeah,
she's
people in the house.
there.
I thought she was like a landlord. That is like part of the deal of
No,
living
she's
on
definitely,
Portobello
like-
Street. Is
I mean, they
you get
refer to her as a member. I mean,
Yeah.
family. We can maybe put quotes around that. I don't know,
Yeah.
blood relative or whatever. But she's
she's part.
Yeah.
She's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I thought there was some connection because they did say her husband was in the Navy. and
Right.
That's why she wants to
Right.
keep the house ship shape.
yes.
And
I
has-
did also. I did laugh when she was welding the bathtub.
That was
Kind of got me.
that was a
Julie
good
Waters,
moment.
very funny.
very funny.
Very
and
funny.
Then we see. Okay, so let's get into our villain.
Let's talk about Nicole Kidman.
Because I thought it was going to be the dad who was a villain. But
Mm.
then we see the real villain, which is Nicole Kidman. playing a taxidermist who we later find out is the explorer's daughter.
Yes.
Which we all, as an adult movie viewer, I saw coming. But I won't fault the movie for that.
You know what? Honestly, though, when I was watching it, I kind of had forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, right. Okay.
But
okay.
I was terrified on her introduction when they brought in that cute little monkey. And I was like, is she going to kill that monkey on screen and stuff it for us? I don't want to see that.
Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, very. So she is a taxidermist who knows of Paddington, I suppose, from her father's research. And instead of wanting to take care of this rare bear, she wants to stuff it.
Yeah.
And the image of him being stuffed is also very funny.
It is funny. Unfortunately, I did laugh.
It is very funny.
Yeah, and also like Nicole, like I was saying, like specifically I guess this story is like her agent was like, they want you, because they wanted her specifically in this role, which I was like, that's genius. That's so fucking brilliant.
It's also
100 other actors could have played this kind of villain, but Nicole Kidman is so glamorous.
She's so glamorous, and she also has no problem playing in this children's movie the sexiness of that role.
I was gonna say, like, very seductive, very whispery, very like, oh yes, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah, because she seduces Peter Capaldi to get closer to Paddington. In a genuinely I was like, tone it down,
and
Nicole.
She looks cunty, like the heels, the wig.
When she is in, because this is also a big moment I want to talk about, when she is like dropping into the home.
Oh my God.
In the cat suit. One,
yeah.
A, in a cat suit. B, in an homage to her ex-husband.
So glad you said that, because I literally was like, they got Nicole Kidman spoofing Tom Cruise in this bitch.
I was like,
they have her doing Mission Impossible.
And they do play the soundtrack a little bit, right?
Yes.
I felt like I was going crazy.
And there's no way she doesn't know.
She's
like, oh, yeah, this is supposed to be like a Tom Cruise. Yeah, I think I could do that.
I felt like I was going crazy. I was like, is this the first time she's like addressed, like she's making fun of Tom Cruise here?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Which is also kind of amazing that both of them have careers that are so ubiquitous with movies, like just movies in general, that the first 2 times I saw this movie, I was like, oh yeah, they're doing like the bit. And then this time around, I was like, oh yeah, it's like wait a second. Mission Impossible.
Yeah, the layers.
Tom Cruise.
The layers of not only Mission Impossible as a reference in a children's movie done by Nicole Kidman.
Which, frankly, the mission that like.
I mean, look, it's just culture at this moment. But then,
so much so that when I first watched Mission Impossible, I actually did think, oh right, this is where we get this from.
Yeah,
oh.
Yeah. No, I mean that moment itself is so iconic and has been spoofed in so many other movies. But the fact that Nicole Kidman is doing it in this children's movie,
a Tom Cruise spoof,
as Tom Cruise spoof in a children's movie is just a next level thing to get away with. That I'm not sure if any other children's movie I can think of can get away with.
Well, no, like
Shrek, maybe is like the only thing, but even that, it's a little more adult
for sure.
This, this at the end of the day is very much a children's movie.
Yeah, no, but this thing with Nicole Kidman is that like I guess her agent was like, she doesn't want to fucking waste her time. I think this was like when this movie was in development. This was back when people rightfully were skeptical of like rehashing IP.
Yeah,
because there had been a lot of like failures with that.
Yeah.
At the time,
we're coming off like the Peter Pan thing.
Yeah, this was all like Divergent series, which they also kind of gave up on.
The Lone Ranger series was not.
Yeah,
I can't even call it movie
series. Yeah, just the
Pan
one.
Had recently.
Yeah. So I guess like her agent was kind of like, I mean, like brought it up in a way that was like, you don't really want to do this, but she was like, I love Paddington Bear. This was my favorite thing growing up.
How can you not love him?
And so she of like, I guess apparently anyone in the whole cast was like, I will literally do anything for this movie, including lambast my ex-husband that like famously I have very serious issues with, and kids with that she doesn't get to see.
Yeah.
Because of the Scientology of it all.
Yeah, she is an SP. And really just put herself on
and
blast.
She's like, yeah, let's do it. For
Paddington? Yeah. For Paddington, I'll do it. And
you know what? Me too. If anyone in Paddington is listening, there is not a low I am afraid to go
Yeah.
to be in these movies.
Yeah, she is so good. She also, she doesn't in any role make a compromise on what I think her choices are.
Yeah.
Because again, the seductiveness in which she plays this character,
Mm-hmm.
is so interesting because it is a creepy movie. It is a children's movie, and she is being creepy and sexy and is getting Peter Capaldi all hot and bothered.
So funny.
I
also love how many British actors are in this movie that like went to set and they were like, pick an accent.
Yeah.
Like everyone is doing a funny version of a British accent.
It is an insane version.
I love the scene with the cab driver, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on this actor's
Oh,
name. He's
from Great British Bake Off.
Yes,
and
Little
Matt
America.
Lucas
is his name.
Yes, in Little America.
That was also a moment where I was like, this guy just was like, you know, fuck it.
Paddington? Hell yeah.
I get to be in just like a British movie. Whatever British accent tickles my fancy at this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, he's a great little surprise bit part in it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the thing with the children's movie is that the children's movie of all does eventually kind of get to me in that like not much happens. Like by the third act and the major hijinks of the movie, I'm like I'm not that invested anymore.
Yeah, this is my third time seeing the movie, so I definitely like did a Wordle.
Yeah,
during a chase sequence, I was like, "Yeah, man, I get it."
The hijinks last very, very long, and
they do.
It is long. It is delightful. I think it would be a very fun movie to watch with a child.
Oh yeah,
especially this first one because that was probably delightful. But as just for me, when it was just two adults watching, we were like, okay, we get it.
My internal timer on these sorts of things, because I also, not to switch gears too heavy, had the same feeling watching Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah.
After like the 9th like slow motion sick needle drop fight sequence, I was a little bit like, yeah, man, I get it.
We get it. Yeah.
I hate to say this in one of these movies, but like I'd like to see a scene where like 4 people are talking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
not just
I'm,
like
due
referencing.
for I don't know. I want to see Emma Corrin again. Like let's.
But what I do like, because there are a couple things in this movie that go unaddressed, and one that I'm happy did eventually get.
Poke the holes in it. Go ahead, Bridget.
I was gonna say one of the things I'm happy that does get addressed is you're watching this and you're like, why are these two people? Why are the Brown husband and wife together? Sally Field is so like whimsical and sweet,
Hawkins.
And this guy is yes, I'm gonna keep doing that.
That's okay.
Sally Hawkins.
That's okay.
Sweet and whimsical and an artist and has this big soft spot and clearly, a heart for adventure. Why is she with this man? And I feel like a lot of children's movies especially, it's such a stereotypical like British children's movie family. I love the scene where they flash back to the children being born and him riding in on his motorcycle and then being like, we'll never change, right?
Yeah.
And then immediately out of the hospital, full fatherly freak out.
Well, because the context of that is like, you change when you become a parent.
Yeah.
And now he's like literally a risk analyst.
And now,
for an insurance company, like literally his job is to look at things and determine how risky it is based on numbers and experience.
The total 180, and then you're kind of like, okay, so he's not just your standard British asshole father who got like too invested in work, a la Mary Poppins, which is a very Mary Poppins-esque story.
Definitely.
He's not just like, oh, he's too much of an adult. Like, no, something with like, it's genuine pathos that got him here.
Yeah.
Genuine care and love for his children.
Yeah, we're in the sequence of the movie where it's like Mr. Brown is like arguing that, we can't have Paddington in the house. The kids and Paddington overhear that.
Yeah.
We get that context of like, I mean, he loves you. That's why he cares so much. And you know what? Hey, out of context, yes, if a bear was living in your house, I think you should be concerned about your 2 kids. But then that also takes us...
that bear.
Yeah.
But that bear?
He's a rare bear.
He's a rare bear. He's not going to eat you.
But it does take us to a scene that I really love where the kids give Paddington the little blue coat.
Yes.
And something I really noticed this time around is that they explain like, oh, well, that used to be... Oh, that was Jonathan's coat. Well, it was Judy's coat. And then it's like, well, actually, it was Mr. Brown's coat. Like, this is not just... Oh, sweet. Like, we're going to give you the...
No, you're a member of the family.
It's a member of the family.
Yeah.
You are a brown...
You are a brown bear.
Yeah.
You are a true brown.
Oh, that was a little joke when he's talking to
Is he grizzly?
Is he grizzly? Yeah, I've seen him in the morning.
Stupid
joke, but
yeah,
very good.
But very good. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I guess we have to talk about it. It's all been leading up to the immigration story of it all.
Yeah.
But this is a bear from Peru coming into London looking for a home. And no one wants to give him a home.
Yeah.
And he has a hard time finding one. And people just got to open their hearts a little bit to him.
Yeah, skipping kind of ahead, but the flashback where we learned that the explorer was kind of like debarred because he didn't bring back the body of a dead fucking bear, which if his discovery is that he found bears that can talk and communicate, then what good is bringing back a dead one?
Yeah.
Have these people never seen King Kong? Like, you can bring him back alive.
That's why I was confused at that part. I thought we were going to find a lot more information, and this is where maybe I'm poking too many holes in a children's movie that is about whimsy. But wouldn't it make more sense, and hear me out, if he was now like a famous, I'm almost thinking like Up, how they have the, if he was and that's why no one is surprised that there is a talking bear, because we know that these things exist.
Oh, but Bridgett, you are forgetting colonialism.
Sure.
And like what all the explorers are saying, which to me, that scene is the most explicit, like this is an immigrant story, because it's like, well, he doesn't even know how to write or read. He doesn't wear clothes, doesn't even do the crossword. Like they do it in a funny way. Yeah. But
there's real implications.
When you're an adult listening to it, it's like this is like the classic white supremacy, white British supremacy. Anyone that doesn't live our lifestyle is a savage and an animal, and this, that, and the other. And like that was when I was like, I knew Paddington 2 was like a bit more explicit, but rewatching, I was like, oh, they're kind of going for it in this little flashback.
They introduce it. I wonder, and maybe in your research, I wonder if they knew they were doing
all my storied research
and all your Wikipedia research. Did they know they were doing a Paddington 2 going into this? Do you know this?
Oh, I think like that was the dream, but I don't believe that they wrote this with the sequel in mind.
Yeah, because the immigration story of it all, very light touch in this one.
Well, again, the sequel was written during the time of Brexit being approved and also like being which I mean, I think some of it was simmering at this time as well.
The world's whole
But this is clearly a product of the Obama administration.
Yeah.
This is clearly in a time where we were optimistic about our futures.
And didn't know
and like
much.
Love is Love was, we were moving in a progressive
and we didn't know as much.
And we didn't really have to preserve, or we didn't think we had to preserve.
Yeah. Yeah,
being some of these woke liberal ideas that Paddington brings up.
Yeah, because it makes sense with the time period that it's just like brought up. We think about it. We don't talk about it too much, but like it's in the background. And so I'm super interested in Paddington 2 to see how it's handled.
Well, this is why I'm like, and what are they going to say in Paddington in Peru?
When he goes back home.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's allowed back in.
Oh, well. Where are we in the movie though? So I think we're at the place in the movie where everyone's kind of accepted, like, okay, he's a member of the family, but we do want to reunite him with this explorer because, I mean, he actually does
offered him a home, and can this bear stay with us forever? Probably not.
And then this is when they go to the archives trying to find that research, and this was the only part of the movie that I was like, oh, this movie did come out like 11 years ago, because unfortunately, the pinnacle of British comedy has always been a man dressed as a woman.
Yes.
And it's obviously, I don't think they're making a comment about trans people in this scene.
No, it's just weird.
It's service. It's very lighthearted. There is that one line that's like, oh, well, they really like me in jail. Like, wow, this is really a product of its time.
It's just,
we weren't quite there yet.
Also, like, why does a janitor have to be a woman?
Yeah.
Why couldn't he just be a janitor?
Again, it's because that's the funniest possible thing for British people to think of is a man looking ugly dressed as a woman.
But then another man finding him attractive.
Right. It is Monty Python level.
Yeah.
Classic British comedy.
I do like that he enjoys it a little bit.
Yeah. I just do know, unfortunately, that has contributed to a lot of transphobic ideas, especially in the UK.
Sure.
Because, I mean, it's like, oh, well, it's just a man dressed as a woman. It's like, chill out.
Yeah.
Just chill out.
Just chill out.
That was the only part of the movie. Because I do think it is largely a timeless
story.
Obviously, timeless story. Yeah. Timeless motion picture. Looks brilliant.
Looks really good.
You know, that was the only part of the movie that I was like,
Yeah, and that animation style is interesting, and I'm sure people can tell us, but like that kind of cross between live action animation, I don't think we, like, not even in the Disney remakes do we see done quite like this.
No, somehow it's gotten worse, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, because the Disney are all CGI. There's no real human element that they're interacting
like the Lion
with.
King.
Yeah, it is.
It's a
they're
live,
like a live
action movie.
remake. It's
all animated.
It's completely animated. So they don't interact with the real world that like Paddington does and sets.
Yeah, I think it helps that Paddington is damn near the only computer generated character.
Yeah.
I think the pigeons are probably also
Paddington and the pigeons.
But like largely, bitch, they are at Paddington Station. They are in a home, like they are on location.
I do think it's a studio, but
okay. They are in a physical space. They are occupying a physical space.
Yes.
I'm just hopeful that the Brown family home.
Yeah, they are. Hopefully that's a studio.
Sick. Yeah.
Because that home's not going to repair that quickly.
No.
Your first floor comes down, and also somehow the water doesn't come out the bottom of the door. It just holds.
Oh, they would again, like the fire damage that they happen. I'm like, that's literally nothing compared to the opening sequence of him living in the house.
I mean, like it does make sense that Paddington would be like sought after criminally after the amount of damage he's caused across London.
Yeah.
But at the end, but if you just talk to him, he's a sweet, well-meaning bear.
Yeah.
Who's just looking for a home.
I also think there's like a sequence where they start to use the tube.
Yes.
And he's like, doesn't know how to use the escalator.
Yeah.
And this scene really only exists to be just like a little bit funny. This is also a time in the movie that I was like, all right, we literally did nothing with any of this. But I did laugh when it's like
the stand to the right.
Yep. I laughed out loud. I laughed out loud. And then I thought it was so cute. You could see his little hat going down the escalator. And then when he fell down at the bottom of the escalator and he's laying down, his little butt is getting pumped up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Escalators there.
That is very cute. And then a bear holding a dog.
Very funny.
Very funny.
Funny bear. Later on in the movie, when he is unfortunately tranked by Nicole Kidman in the museum, I also did laugh the way he fell down the stairs and he landed with his little butt in the air.
Yeah, he's so cute.
So cute.
Yeah, and she keeps missing. Her near misses are very funny.
Oh my God.
In her Mission Impossible scene in her cat suit, are all very funny. But yeah, she the hat, because of the hat, Jim Broadbent helps her find the Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
It all tracks back to the Explorer, who we then find out Paddington goes to his house after trying to find every person with that initial and last name.
Yeah.
The last house is the correct one. And surprise, who comes down the stairs? Explorer doesn't live there anymore. It's his daughter, but Nicole Kidman. And she's like, "You've walked right into my trap. I'm going to stuff you, little bear."
Yeah.
And his family comes to save him.
Yeah.
After
Nicole
a
Kidman
lot
really,
of hijinks.
I will say, for the sequel, Nicole Kidman really set a bar in terms of like
Paddington villains.
This is how you should be acting in these movies. She and Sally Hawkins both set a tone and a bar of like, this is how seriously we are approaching this work. We are being sincere.
Yeah.
We are being goofy. We are being stupid. We are being ugly. And we are doing it with our whole pussies because we love Paddington Bear.
Because we love Paddington Bear, so we're going to put our whole pussies on this.
Entire pussies in this movie. Because mind you, this is pre-Shape of Water for Sally Hawkins. Like, Nicole Kidman, I mean, she's always been in her bag. But for Miss Hawkins, it's like, actually, I'm coming back to the screen in a major way.
Yeah, it's funny, because this isn't that much before Shape of Water, and she seems so much younger in this.
I remember, she looks beautiful in this movie. I do remember, I think Paddington 2 and Shape of Water came out in the same year. Yeah. Because it was kind of a banner year for Sally Hawkins to have like a heart for a computer generated creature that other people maybe don't understand.
She really knows how.
She's like really in that bag.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we in the movie? I mean, I don't know. The Browns come to rescue.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because by that third act, rescue Paddington scene, you are a little over as an adult. watching.
I mean,
these
it's
movies.
just kind of like, all right,
Okay,
well, we
it's
just need to
more of
wrap
the-
it up.
It's more of the same, and it
Yep,
goes
we
on
know
for a
this
very
is
long
going to
time.
happen, and then this is going to
Yeah.
happen, and this is going to happen, which ultimately leads to a happy ending.
Which ultimately,
Where no one's really dead.
And Paddington has found a home. It's his home
Very
now.
funny. Nicole Kidman being sentenced to community service and
Yes.
she's screaming bloody murder.
That is such a good moment too. Am I going to jail?
Oh.
What community service?
She's
No.
funny. Julie Waters
Yeah.
also gets that good little bit with the security guard where she's out drinking them.
Yeah,
That's a classic.
a classic.
That's a classic.
That I mean, and look, if you're with a British older woman whose husband was in the Navy during World War II, you're getting out drunk.
Yeah.
You are 100% getting out drunk by
Yep.
her. Yeah, great moment. Like, great wrap up. The community service bit, I forgot about that. Really good coda.
So funny.
Yeah.
Such a funny little button for that character.
It is. But yeah, these are the Paddington movies.
Yeah.
Really, I did walk away, especially in that beginning scene where they talk about, how to treat a stranger, and he's stowing away to old London town. Really was like, wow, we all collective. I'm glad we are doing these movies right now.
No, I kind of wasn't kidding earlier when I was like, what we need is Paddington. Like, actually, we might actually need.
No, I truly felt that way when we were joking as we were opening, but like, it's been a tough. We're recording this at the first day of February after January that felt so long.
Yeah.
And watching this movie just really felt like a breath of fresh air of like, no, we got something. We were like onto
Damn,
something.
I didn't even
here.
stop to think about it, but it literally he has to leave because his home is destroyed.
Because his home is destroyed. Yeah.
God damn.
And
I also kind of like a final of like what we've been talking about, like the serious and relevant nature of the film. The fact that it does take place in a modern London, I think, is such a choice. It could
It's a
have
smart choice.
so easily been. It's a movie that takes place in 1958. I think it'd still just be as successful, as funny, as charming.
Yeah.
But the fact that it is political. Like, that's a choice.
No, it is a choice because in a 1958 London where the memory of World War II and in these orphans looking for new homes is fresh. Yeah, you do have people who remembered, at least, even though it's post-war, that they had to open doors to strange children and or bears. There's a memory of like the community having to somehow rally together during dark times.
I mean, not that I'm throwing shots at London. They have the same issues we do.
Yeah.
But it is a little disappointing that like this was such a big movie and this is such a lovely message and like this ideal version of London, which again, similar to us, it's like this is a place where you can come and be anybody.
But it's not even that ideal version of London because it took I mean, he was lost for a long time. The people did forget how to treat a stranger in
but
London.
the ultimate like happy ending message of like, oh, but when we open our
but
doors,
we'll find we'll find him.
Paddington writes at the end in that letter to Lucy, he says something to the tune of like, everybody here is different, which is why everybody can fit in.
Yeah. Very sweet.
I just looked at my last note on here. Emma Thompson is an uncredited script doctor on this movie.
She is on a lot of movies.
I mean, she is brilliant, like truly a gift to the arts.
And I will say, I did have this thought if I was like, and maybe I will be, but if I was a Londoner who was a longtime Paddington stan, I would 100% get a tattoo of that outline he draws on the window of the skyline.
Yeah.
But that's just if you happen to be a Paddington stan
like
Londoner. That's just an idea for you.
Well, when you watch Paddington 2,
I might
you might be deep in the because God knows I love this bear. And I think when Paddington 2 was out, and I was telling so many people like it is genuinely. I think a lot of people thought I was like being funny. Bitch, look at the material. I
look
at that bear.
I am excited to get into Paddington 2 because I did leave Paddington 1 and you've since confirmed this, that I was like, they have to get deeper into this story especially just like looking at the times that they came out of like, because it is obviously a big part of this whole thing.
Also, Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant is the villain
and this is what I'm saying. Nicole Kidman sets a bar.
Yeah.
That Hugh Grant is like, okay.
Yeah.
If that's how we're going to play.
I 100% trust Hugh Grant to be an excellent villain in this movie.
Oh my God.
From what I've seen and not heard, we are all in for just a delightful ride, colorful journey
Yeah.
More Wes Anderson-y vibes in 2, certainly. More song and dance, it seemed like, from what I've gathered. And more whimsy in Paddington 2. And I'm excited to dive deeper into some of these themes.
Oh, yeah.
We have themes.
No. It gets, I'm saying, like, it's not, like, radically. It's still
yeah.
a children's film, but I just feel like it's a little bit more explicit.
Yeah, and I think there's always a lot to learn in children's movies because the lessons are so simple of, like,
Yeah.
this is how, like, the world works better when you approach people with kindness.
If the world is kind and polite, everything will be all right.
Yeah, and
That's why Bluey is the most watched show in the world right now.
Yeah, in 2017, how you have to handle that is different than you have to handle it in 2014.
Definitely. These are movies of their time.
Yeah, it's a children's movie. It's not
and
gonna be
unfortunately, this kind of story is, I guess, timeless since we're continue to. Anyway.
Yeah. There are lessons we need to keep learning, and that's why Paddington Bear stays in our hearts. So grab your wellies, grab your raincoat, grab your little hats. And grab a marmalade sandwich because we're going to do more.
Grab a little bear to hold on to.
And grab a little bear to hold on to. And don't forget that sandwich in your hat. Always in case of emergencies.
That was Paddington.
And that was
We'll be back next month.
Yeah.
With Paddington 2.
And we'll probably have to hop on it pretty quick to because I want to see Paddington in Peru in theaters.
Yeah, this month, but I don't know specifically.
Yeah. So hopefully we
let me look at my calendar. I've got midnight premiere tickets.
Okay.
No, but I genuinely
we're dressing up.
As soon as they are available, I'm there.
Yeah. But yeah, Paddington in Peru. It's all leading up to this big screening that we're doing.
Oh, it kind of looks like reviews are.
They're starting. Well, it came out in the UK.
Oh.
Yeah, it launched in the UK.
It doesn't seem like as big of a banger as the other. But that's okay. I'm still gonna watch.
We haven't seen that.
There's no replacing Paul King. Yeah, also.
Yes.
And since Paul King's not on the third one, I kind of figured. I literally watched that fucking Willy Wonka Timothée Chalamet movie because Paul King. I was like, well.
Can't be that bad. And
honestly, it wasn't that bad. I don't remember one goddamn thing that happened in that movie. But I remember watching it and being like, okay.
It truly
it's chocolate. And it's chocolate.
Yep. That's what I remember. That's a famous song. That's what I remember too. But yes, thank you for sticking around and listening to us. Welcome back. We're sorry it's been so long, but we're people.
Plug at BS Podcasting on Instagram.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
Which at that point, just go there. I'm not updating the Twitter anymore. Who's on Twitter?
Yeah.
I mean, I am because I sold my soul to the devil in 2008, but
yeah. But don't worry about it.
Just stick to the Patreon.
Stick to the Patreon.
Get it from the horse's mouth.
Yes, you're on the Patreon. Like, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Keep listening and keep searching for updates. Thanks for having us back.
And we'll see you all next time. Cheerio.
Cheerio.
Lights, camera, action. We're shooting threes, just SMB. We're gonna watch and review film trilogies. It's all for laughs, so just sit back. We're gonna drop dimes on this podcast.